NASCAR's first star in the number 48, James Hylton. James Hylton was a former NASCAR Grand National, now NASCAR Cup Series, and ARCA Series driver and owner, who competed as a driver from 1964 through 2013, and as an owner from 1968 through 2018. Hilton was a model of consistency during his prime years, finishing in the top 5 in points 8 times out of the first 10 times that he ran full-time in NASCAR. Way back near the end of NASCAR's first decade in existence, in the late 1950s, Hilton's career in auto racing began as a mechanic for Rex White. With White performing the driving duties, together they won 26 races, as well as the 1960 NASCAR Cup Series Championship. By 1964, White had cut back the amount of races that he was running. This led James Hylton to move over to Bundy Long's number 11 Ford with Ned Jarrett behind the wheel. And as Jarrett's crew chief, together they found a ton of success, winning 14 races in 64, finishing second in point standings, and in 65 they won 12 races together, and the NASCAR Cup Series Championship. Now, as far as the driver's seat, Hilton made his own NASCAR Cup Series debut in 1964, for the same owner he served as crew chief for, Bundy Long, behind the wheel of a number 71 Ford at Old Dominion Speedway in Manassas, Virginia, starting 11th and finishing 19th. In 3 starts in the summer of 64, his best start was 7th at Old Bridge Stadium, and his best finish was 14th at Bridgehampton, not lasting longer than 22 laps in any single start, DNFing on all 3. Finally, in 1966, James Hylton made the move into the driver's seat on a permanent basis, behind the wheel of Bud Hartge's number 48 Econowash Dodge. Hilton drove for Hartge Racing in 1966 and 67, making 87 starts throughout the 2 seasons. Something that you got to keep in mind is that NASCAR was a lot different 55, 60 years ago. Back then, they would run up to 3 races a week, and it was literally almost impossible to get to every single race throughout the season. That and the quality of parts weren't nearly as high as they are today, leading to a much higher attrition rate. Hartge also served as Hilton's crew chief for both seasons as well. Hilton's best start was first, twice, at Monroe in the spring of 1966 and Oxford Plains Speedway in the summer of 1967. His best finish was second 7 times, at Langley Field Speedway in the spring of 1966, Beltsville, Bridgehampton, and Islip in the summer of 1966, Middle Georges Raceway, Nashville Fairgrounds, and Islip in the summer of 1967. Overall, in 87 NASCAR Cup Series starts, Hilton scored 2 poles, 0 wins, 46 top 5s, and 71 top 10s, finishing second in final NASCAR Cup Series point standings in both 1966 and 1967. 66 was his rookie season, and a very strong season indeed. Still to this day, he holds the record as the highest finishing rookie in final Cup Series point standings, as well as winning Rookie of the Year honors in 1966. Prior to the beginning of the 1968 NASCAR Cup Series season, James Hylton purchased the number 48 Dodge team from Bud Hartge, forming Hilton Engineering. Another solid season in which Hilton would spend the entire second half of the season in the top 10 in point standings. His best start was 3rd at Columbia in the spring, and his best finish was 2nd at Orange Speedway in Hillsborough, North Carolina. Overall, in 41 starts, he scored 16 top 5s and 28 top 10s, finishing 7th in final NASCAR Cup Series point standings. The 1969 NASCAR Cup Series season was even better than the season prior for James Hylton, with the added help of Cotton Owens letting him make 2 starts in the spring behind the wheel of his number 6 Dodge. Hilton made 52 out of the 54 starts throughout the season. His best start was 2nd twice, at Hickory in the spring and Beltsville in the summer. His best finish was 2nd 4 times, at Greenville, Weaverville, and Langley Field Speedway in the spring, then Thompson in the summer. Overall, in 52 starts, Hilton scored 27 top 5s and 39 top 10s, finishing 3rd in final NASCAR Cup Series point standings. James Hylton remained behind the wheel of his self-owned Hilton Engineering number 48 Ford in 1970, though he ran the Daytona 500 that season in Don Robertson's number 23 Plymouth. This was yet another very strong season for James Hylton. even winning his first career NASCAR Cup Series race at Richmond Fairgrounds. His best start was first at Beltsville in the spring, and his best finish was first at Richmond in the spring, when Hilton would lead the final 160 out of 500 laps on his way to his first career Cup Series victory. Overall, in 47 starts, he scored 1 pole, 1 win, 22 top 5s, and 39 top 10s, finishing third in final NASCAR Cup Series point standings. Once again in 71, Hilton remained one of NASCAR's top drivers, even though he didn't find victory lane in 71. He never finished worse than 24th all season, including the final 13 races, in which Hilton never finished worse than 12th. His best start was first at Columbia in the spring, and his best finish was second twice at Myers Speedway in Houston, Texas, and Nashville Fairgrounds in the summer. Overall, in 46 starts, Hilton scored 1 pole, 0 wins, 14 top 5s, and 37 top 10s, finishing second in final NASCAR Cup Series point standings. NASCAR drastically cut the Cup Series schedule from roughly 50 races a season down to around 30 races a season. Starting in 1972, James Hylton returned to his number 48 Pop-Cola Ford full-time. Larry Shankle started serving as his crew chief in 72. This was yet another very consistent, strong season for Hilton. Without money to purchase new Speedway tires from Goodyear, he was forced to use the old ones he had. Good thing he did, because the new ones couldn't hold up against the Superspeedway conditions. After a long run, they would just shred. Only Hilton and Ramo Stott were the drivers who couldn't afford new tires, and they finished first and second at Talladega Superspeedway. Hilton's best start was fourth at North Wilkesboro in the fall, and his best finish was first at Talladega in the summer. This would end up being his second and final career Cup Series victory. Overall, in 31 starts, he scored 1 win, 9 top 5s, and 23 top 10s, finishing third in final NASCAR Cup Series point standings. 1973 was another solid season for James Hylton and his number 48 team, though not nearly as strong as the 72 season. His best start was 9th at Dover in the fall, and his best finish was 4th at Talladega in the summer. Overall, in 28 starts, he scored 1 top 5 and 11 top 10s, finishing 4th in final NASCAR Cup Series point standings. In 1974, James Hylton began to experience how the level of competition had begun to rise in the NASCAR Cup Series. Not to mention the fact that he netted 14 DNFs in 29 starts throughout the season. Returning to his number 48 Chevrolet, this was the first season he ever DNQ'd a race. The first race of the season at Riverside. 74 was also the first season that Hilton finished outside the top 10 in final point standings. His best start was 4th at Bristol in the spring, and his best finish was 5th at Darlington in the fall. Overall, in 29 starts, he scored 1 top 5 and 8 top 10s, finishing 11th in final NASCAR Cup Series point standings. Hilton Engineering picked up sponsorship in 1975 for his number 48 Chevrolet team from Nitro 9 lubricant and fuel additive. This was a return to Hilton's very consistent ways in 1975. His best start was 7th at Richmond in the spring, and his best finish was 4th at Dover in the spring. Overall, in 30 starts, Hilton scored 2 top 5s and 16 top 10s, finishing third in final NASCAR Cup Series point standings. Things again fell off a bit for James Hylton in 1976, with sponsor Nitro 9 leaving following the World 600 at Charlotte near the end of May. Nonetheless, he and his number 48 Chevrolet race team ran the entire season, all except the fall Rockingham race, where Hilton drove Doc Faustina's number 5 Dodge, starting 20th and finishing 29th. Harold Stott served as his crew chief in 76. Hilton's best start was 7th at Talladega in the spring, and his best finish was 4th at Talladega in the summer. Overall, in 30 starts, he scored 2 top 5s and 5 top 10s, finishing 13th in final NASCAR Cup Series point standings. After finishing inside the top 10 in final point standings 9 out of the previous 11 seasons, in 1977, James Hylton finished inside the top 10 for the 10th and final time in season's end standings. Behind the wheel of his number 48 Chevrolet full-time, Dale Earnhardt's future championship crew chief Kirk Shelmerdine began serving as Hilton's crew chief starting in 77. Hilton's best start was 7th at Richmond in the fall, and his best finish was 7th at Bristol in the spring. Overall, in 30 starts, he scored 11 top 10s, finishing 7th in final NASCAR Cup Series point standings. For the first time in his career since he started racing full-time in 1978, James Hylton only made select starts throughout the season. Behind the wheel was number 48 Chevrolets and Oldsmobiles for all but 3 races, making 19 starts in all. His best start was 8th at Richmond in the fall, and his best finish was 7th 3 times, at Bristol and Martinsville in the spring, then Darlington in the fall. He also made 2 starts in the number 18 Chevrolet during the season, only because his number 48 Chevrolet was already racing in those 2 races, being driven by IMSA star Al Holbert. At Talladega in the summer, Hilton also made a one-off start behind the wheel of Al Rudd's number 12 Buick, starting and parking. Overall, in 19 starts, Hilton scored 4 top 10s, finishing 26th in final NASCAR Cup Series point standings. Hilton returned to driving his number 48 Chevrolets and Oldsmobiles full-time in 1979. On the competition side of things, they were still competitive, just not to the level they were at the beginning of the decade, spending literally all season in the top half of the top 15 in point standings. He even DNQ'd the 1979 Daytona 500. Hilton's best start was 14th twice at Martinsville and Nashville in the spring. His best finish was 6th at Nashville in the summer. Overall, in 30 starts, he scored 5 top 10s, finishing 14th in final NASCAR Cup Series point standings. As NASCAR moved into the 1980s, the sport continued to grow. In 1980, James Hylton returned to his number 48 Palatine Auto Parts Chevrolets and Oldsmobiles full-time. The motto of consistency, Hilton got the most he could out of his equipment, spending 3 weeks inside the top 10 and all 31 weeks inside the top 15 in points, not falling below 13th at any point in standings throughout the season. His best start was 14th at Martinsville in the spring, and his best finish was 7th at Richmond in the spring. Overall, in 31 starts, he scored 4 top 10s, finishing 13th in final NASCAR Cup Series point standings. 1981 was James Hylton's final full-time Cup Series season as an active driver. Going forward, he would keep his race team open, but put other drivers behind the wheel at different times. This was the first season he didn't score a single top 10 finish throughout the entire season. Hilton's best start was 15th at Richmond in the spring, and his best finish was 11th at Riverside in the spring. Overall, in 28 starts, he scored 3 top 15s and 15 top 20s, finishing 19th in final NASCAR Cup Series point standings. Starting in 1982, Hilton began only making very select starts through the 1993 season in the NASCAR Cup Series, putting other drivers who typically had some sponsorship coming along with him behind the wheel of his team's number 48. Drivers such as Lenny Pond, Trevor Boys, and DK Ulrich, along with several others, made starts for the team. The best finish for the team with another driver in the Cup Series, once Hilton retired from full-time Cup Series competition, was 9th, twice, at Rockingham in the fall of 1982 by Lenny Pond, and Richmond in the fall of 1983 by Trevor Boys. Hilton's best finish after retiring from full-time competition was 12th twice, at Dover in the spring and Pocono in the summer of 1982, making 40 starts between 1982 and 1993. He made his Busch Series, now Xfinity Series debut at Rockingham in 1982, finishing 23rd. Attempting his final career Daytona 500 in 2007 after leasing a Cup Series car and an engine from Richard Childress. Though Hilton was forced to run a number 58 due to the fact the number 48 was taken by this point in the NASCAR Cup Series by Hendrick Motorsports driver Jimmy Johnson. In the final practice before his qualifying dual race, Hilton posted the 15th fastest time. So he was competitive, over the age of 70 years old, even running inside the top 15 with 10 laps to go in his dual race, until an untimely caution waved over the track. He would experience clutch issues, leading him to losing the draft and leaving him to DNQ the event. This was his final NASCAR Cup Series attempt. Another series that James Hylton began making occasional starts in was ARCA, starting in 1986, making no more than 9 starts in a single season until 2006, when he would attempt the full 23-race ARCA Series season, behind the wheel of his number 48 Ford, qualifying for 16 races throughout the season. His best start was 29th at Illinois State Fairgrounds in the summer. His best finish was 21st at Pocono in the early summer, finishing 18th in final ARCA Series point standings. Only making 2 starts in 2007, before running the vast majority of the ARCA season in 2008 and running full-time from 2009 through 2013, making 111 starts from 2007 through 2013. His best start was 17th twice at Winchester and Pocono in the summer of 2013. His best finish was 15th at Talladega in 2009. Hilton made his first and only Craftsman Truck Series start in 2011 at Pocono in the late summer, behind the wheel of Norm Benning's number 75 Chevrolet, starting 29th and finishing 30th, also making 3 Xfinity Series starts, 1 a season in 2006, 2008, and 2011. His best finish was 36th at Daytona in the summer of 2008, driving Johnny Davis's number 01 Chevrolet, making his final career start at Kansas in the fall in the ARCA Series, behind the wheel of his number 48 Great Railing Radon.com Ford, starting 24th and finishing 18th. After retiring from driving his race car for good at the ripe young age of 78, Brad Smith, James Swanson, and Rick Clifton made the vast majority of the starts for Hilton's race team once Hilton retired. The best finish the team had from 2013 through 2018 was 8th at Winchester in the summer of 2015 by James Swanson. In a tragic conclusion to his story, James Hylton, his son James Hylton Jr., and his race team's crew chief Terry Strange were driving home from the ARCA race at Talladega Superspeedway in the spring of 2018. The team's hauler was in a traffic accident going northbound on Interstate 85, close to Carnesville, Georgia. Both Hiltons lost their lives in the accident, with Strange surviving but with severe injuries. Now, what exactly caused the accident was unclear, and several conflicting reports from Strange left plenty of questions. So, overall, in 602 NASCAR Cup Series starts, Hilton scored 4 poles, 2 wins, 140 top 5s, and 301 top 10s, with the best points finish of second 3 times in 1966, 1967, and 1971. He made 4 Xfinity Series starts. He made 1 Craftsman Truck Series start. In 175 ARCA Series starts, he scored 1 top 15 and 5 top 20s, with the best points finish of 11th twice in 2011 and 2013. Thanks for watching, everyone, and take care.